whoever's in charge of this has got to be making a fortune right now while everybody else is losing money. The Zoom is taking off. We do it. I have every Tuesday night. I have Tuesday night drinking club. Some buddies and I get on and have a cocktail and just talk about what we did during the week. And my wife's been doing her book club on Zoom. All right. Really, yeah. The mystery collection is now live. Let's see here. All right, we got a couple people. We've got a few more minutes, so we'll just keep it live and then start up. But
it's okay to drink.
Yeah, please. That's also one of my friends said that I just need to have Sunday afternoon cocktails where I just sit around and drink and talk and tell jokes. Perfect. So we got a couple people. If you're out there, say hi. So I know some people are watching. We got 4 people. It looks like. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. We've got my friend Marita Crandle, and Marita, I'm going to give a little bit of introduction of how we met, and then let you kind of talk about your professional introduction. And Marita is although she won't take the credit for it, Marita is very, very responsible for any successes the Mystery Collection has had. Marita was at my very first show in New Orleans. I went to New Orleans to receive the payment of a bet that I made with our friend James Corbin at New Orleans Secrets. The Broncos beat the Steelers. I talked about this when I was on with James a couple of weeks ago, and so he had to put a show together for me. That afternoon, Danielle, my wife, and I were walking around the French Quarter and happened in a Marita's store, the Boutique des Vampires on St. Anne off of Royal. And Marita said, "So what are you guys doing in town?" I said, "I'm a magician." And Marita said, "Oh, I love magic." And I said, "I have a show tonight. You want to come?" And she said, "I do." So she came and we developed a friendship. And she said she was getting ready to open a venue. And Potions on Bourbon Street is absolutely my favorite place in the entire world to do my shows. I think we did like 5 or 6 in a row sellouts and had an amazing time. And it really is. She's given me the opportunity that A, I don't deserve, and B, that I could not ever repay to get my show out on the road and get to do new stuff in front of new people. So any successes of the Mystery Collection are owed to my friend Marita and her crew at the Vampire Store, which I have to also say, as I mentioned earlier to her before this, that she has the best crew of employees and people that work with her in Kim and Leah, and have become 2 of my favorite people in the entire world. They are more family than my real family. So I love all of you so much. So that's how I met Marita, and she has written a couple books we're going to talk about today. I have to admit that I have not read one of them. I haven't read the one about the bar, so you'll have to fill me in on
that's
that.
The one you would like the most.
Oh, well, now you tell me. I'll have to read that one. But the first one I read, and we'll talk about this one quite a bit, is New Orleans Vampires. And the newest one, which I'm really excited. I read it, and I'm building a routine, actually a whole show on based on this. And this is Josie Arlington's Storyville. So Marita, go ahead and kind of give an introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have formerly been a blonde, and I'm looking at this display here, and I've never seen my roots look so dark ever. I don't know if it really looks that dark or if it's just on my side, but there's nothing I can do about it. So
quarantine hair, right?
Yeah, we might go with it. Anyway, yes, I met Paul, and Paul, I have to tell you something. I love having you at Potions, and I think it's an amazing venue, for the little intimate magic shows. It's exactly the kind of creepy little magic, like venue that I like. However, when I saw you at the Always Lounge, I was blown away. I really was, because you are a bigger performer than Potions. And I'm not just saying that. I'm 100% serious about this, and I hope that you are going to perform there again, or other venues like that. The whole thing works so well. It's they have drag shows. Is that what you call them? Drag? Yeah.
Drag burlesque. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like interspersed. Your magic was the main thing, but then they had that in between, and it was the most amazing evening. Really, I can't get over it. Well, so you really need a bigger stage, and I hope we can find you one, like a good one.
Well, the Black Magic tour that we were supposed to start off in late March, early April, was supposed to kick off with my anniversary shows at your place on the Saturday and Monday earlier in the week. And then we were going to do, my partner who's going to do the tour with me was going to come down from Little Rock, Arkansas, and we were going to do 2 nights at the Always. And Greg and Vince are 2 of my favorite people, and Gregory's. We're going to try to get back around Halloween time and do some Halloween stuff at the Always. But Zalia, I know, give a little shout out to Zalia. She's struggling just like all the other, entertainment businesses. And the Always Lounge is is awesome, and I love those people as well. But thank you very much. That was very kind to say.
That might even be something you'd want to film, because it was that good.
Well, if you look over my shoulder here, I'd be embarrassed to tell you how many thousands of dollars I spent on audio and video equipment. I was going to record this whole tour. And so now I'm doing, I'm filming little videos in my basement. Hopefully part of when I release my book, they'll be on the special edition of the book. So I'm sorry, back to tell us a lot about yourself.
So, when I moved to New Orleans, I loved New Orleans and I wanted to move there. So I opened up Boutique de Vampire, and I've been so lucky. We've been able to make it. It's been 18 years. And we've had to close a couple of times. After Katrina, we stayed open for 6 months, and then it just didn't make sense. So I closed for 6 months and then reopened. In our last location, we've been there for 6 years now, and it's been amazing. And I've been lucky to find finally a staff that I can't even, can't talk enough about. So it wouldn't be a normal show if I didn't cry at least once.
Well, I tell you what, all my friends will tell, as soon as I start talking about you and all my friends in New Orleans, I get that way as well. So it's but if you make me cry, that'll be a first on here. So.
Well, it's also a very emotional time. I go through days where it's very weird for me because I've worked my entire life under a lot of stress. I've had really high pressure jobs. Really high pressure. I've had staffs of 60 people. Well, I ran an organization, marketing department for 33 companies, and I ran the entire thing. And I love stress. I love pressure. And this is just a little different, and I'm trying to figure out why it's having this effect on me because I'm quite surprised at myself. I go through whole days where I have a whole day of stress. Like I get this buzzing in my ears, and my tongue vibrates, and I can't think. I can think, and I have to think. And I work like 8 hours a day on our website, which I'm having fun with. But I'm still having these really weird panic attacks. So I can't wait till that goes away. That, if anything, the two things that are affecting me negatively with this whole thing is more than economic damage and everything else is the panic attacks, which I guess I'm getting from the economic damage. But also how fast the days are going by. And I don't know if anybody else is finding this, but my days, you think that they would be slower and I would have more time. I wake up and it's nighttime. I tell Steve, I go, where did our day go? And I'm getting things done. I'm getting a lot of stuff done, but I used to have spare time and there's none of that anymore. And that's weird to me. Where are these? And it's like, thank you for breaking up my Groundhog Days because every day is pretty much the same.
Well,
and so, I do get ready, because I want my husband to still, kind of love me. but not as much as I, used to. My God, it's just a weird time. But anyway, the good thing that's come out of all this is I've always wanted to build up our website, and it is a huge opportunity because none of us had the time. And my staff has really stepped up to the plate, and, they're working their booties off. And I really appreciate it because otherwise, we wouldn't have any money coming in. And what's great about this is if we can get the website to be a primary business or a equal business, at least to what our shop was doing, then if we have any other economic problems in the future, we'll really be okay. I won't have to worry about that. If we have another Katrina issue, then we'll be able to, like I did with Katrina, actually. I went to our shop just before we evacuated and grabbed all our poison rings and candle making stuff. And I built a website, and my husband and I made candles in my parents' garage in California, and we kept our business, somewhat alive, just so people remembered about us even, because a lot of people were worried. People like the shop, and it is a fun little magical place to step into. So I want to make sure that it stays around. But anyway, so the website has been an interesting animal.
And the website, real quick for everybody, the website is feelthebite.com. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. Feelthebite.com. And if you Google vampire shops or stores, we come up first. Also, if you forget that it's feelthebite.com. Anyway, I've been working on a marketing plan now for the last 2 days, and it's going to be a couple more days, and then I'll have a nice, kind of a business model together of how our business is going to change, because it's going to be a while before tourism's able to come back. And I'm thinking at least a year is my original idea for us to be back where we were, and even that, but we'll see. And but now we're focusing on the website, and we have some new fun things that Kim, one of our employees, said, well, I've seen these mystery boxes, And mystery boxes, Renee from Sweet Midnight, she's one of our vendors and artists, and she was doing mystery boxes to get rid of any inventory that she brought to a show here. At the end of the show, she would sell them and, get rid of stuff so she wouldn't have to lug it back home with her. So it was an idea that I thought, well, that's a good idea. Well, it's not a good idea. It's a great idea. It's unbelievable. People love them. And you and I talked about this a little bit, but I do think it is because people need a little surprise right now. They need a little something fun, and it's better than going online and buying a stained glass fairy or something you're going to get, even though they're wonderful. But you buy a mystery box and you're going to get something from our shop, from our amazing artists. You just don't know what it's going to be. And we've got amazing thank you notes and, messages. And so it's definitely working. And I'm very, very grateful for those mystery boxes.
But they're very fun. And I think a couple of months, right when this thing started, I shared on both my personal and my Facebook and my show Facebook page a link to the mystery boxes and the idea. It's such a cool idea because you don't know. And I'm going to send a couple to people that are tuning in. My computer over on the side here. So here's the deal that if you make a comment and you like this, I'm going to look you up, and a couple of you are going to get mystery boxes from Boutique des Vampires in a few weeks. That'll encourage some people to watch it. You have to go like their Facebook page, and we'll Marita and I will talk about it later and pick a couple random people to get mystery boxes on behalf of the mystery collection conversations. This new little silly thing I'm doing on Sunday afternoons to keep me from jumping off a bridge. So Marita, you came from a marketing background, and you've written a book on bars, you've written a book on vampires, and you've written a book on brothels.
Right. Oh my! Right. Let me tell you a funny story about that. When I moved to New Orleans, my parents, particularly my father, was very upset with me because I was an executive and I had a great life. I never thought I would leave California.
Where in California? Where were you in California?
Well, I had a house in Burbank. I lived on a boat in Dana Point for a year, the last year that I was living there, because it was closer to my office. And Santa Monica, I love the beach cities, and so that's where I spent most of my time. But anyway, he was really upset that I was moving, and it was a crazy thing that I did. It really was. And the only reason I actually ended up doing it, I was so sad every time I left New Orleans that I finally got a little apartment. And if I wouldn't have gotten that apartment, I never would have put my house on the market and, said, I'm going to move to New Orleans. Never would have happened. But I got that little apartment, and then I moved Halloween weekend to New Orleans to promote vampire wines because I was trying to figure out a way to actually work in New Orleans. So I started up a little music business, which is a whole nother lifetime ago. And I worked for Vampire Vineyards. And that was a really fun experience too. I remember after I got my little apartment, I did a marketing plan on the way home for Vampire Wines because I'd never seen them in New Orleans. And I thought I was going to be talking to Romania, and because their website was so well done at the time. And I called, and they were in Beverly Hills. So I met with the owner, and I told him I wanted to help bring him to New Orleans. And I did a whole wine club and all kinds of stuff. And we've worked together ever since. We're actually picking up our partnership right now. We're working together more. We're doing a mystery box promotion together and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so I moved Halloween weekend, and I ended up never going back to California. I sold my house over the phone and went and got my dogs and my cars and moved to New Orleans. And my mother says to me, she goes, what are you going to do? And I had met the guy who owned a little bar on the corner of where my shop was, and we wanted to open up a blues club together because one of my main reasons to move to New Orleans was to help bring blues back to Bourbon Street. And so I'd never bartended, and I thought, well, I can't run a bar if I've never attended bars, so you need to give me a couple shifts. So he gave me a couple graveyard shifts. And so I told my parents, and they said, Marita, really, what's next? Prostitution? And I looked at them, I'm like, really? And so now I'm writing about prostitution. I thought that was really so not intentional,
Right.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, I understand that completely. I walked away from an almost 19-year career in finance to do magic tricks. And when I approached my folks and I said, listen, this is what I'm going to do, it was kind of like, well, I think they asked my wife, is this guy ever going to grow up? So there's and I know exactly what you're talking about that lure from New Orleans. The first time I went, when I did the show that at Gregory's, the shrimp boil show that you came to, I told my wife, I said, there's something about this city. I'm not spiritual. I'm not at all. And there's two places in the world that I have felt a little bit of heaviness, for lack of a better term. I felt a little bit of heaviness. One was Istanbul, Turkey, and the other was New Orleans. And I came home and I told my wife, I said, I want to end up there. That's where I want to end up. It has this, and I think Marie Laveau wrote something about the lure of New Orleans, that you either get there and want to get out, or you get there and you don't want to leave. Yeah. And I've taken some buddies with me, and my wife's come with me a couple times, and I've been down there. I don't know how many times I've been down there, probably 15 to 15 times in the last 3 or 4 years. But I was talking with Gregory from Mr. Gregory's the other day, and I have to go there to recharge. I have to go to recharge creatively. I have to go there to recharge, for lack of a better term, spiritually. There's something heavy to me about that city, and especially where you're located, right in the heart of the French Quarter. There's just something heavy about it, and I love it. It's where I want to end up. So
I have a friend, Christine. She's an artist. Gosh darn it, and I know her so well, and her last name's not coming to me. And I worship. I'm gonna, before the day's over, because she's one of the artists whose artwork was stolen and dumped in the river. Roy. Oh,
right. I saw that recently. Yeah. That's terrible.
Anyway, now she and some artists are going around and they're painting beautiful murals on all of the scaffolding, the wood that they put up in the windows.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, New Orleans is soul. It's so nice, that the artists that we have, and it's just a crazy place. It's an amazing place. Yeah.
I just can't get enough of the food or the people, and the vibe. It's just there's just, I mean, I don't know how many nights we've sat at the group of us sat at Muriel's one night and had dinner. There was like 10 of us around that table, and I could have sat there my entire life. I could have sat there for 5 more hours, and then we went to that hamburger place, and I could have sat there for 5 more hours. It's just, the whole vibe of the city is just, it's too much. I mean, I live in kind of the cultureless armpit of Colorado, and it's just nice to get out and see some diversity. So you move to New Orleans and you start tending bar, and
then not long after I opened up the vampire shop. I just couldn't find a location at the time. It was very difficult, and I opened up in a stupid place. It was on Orleans. It should have been the best street ever, because it's the widest street in the city, across from the Bourbon Orleans Hotel, close to Bourbon Street. But you had to walk down this carriageway to get to my shop. And that's my only real vampire story. At the end of my book, I tell what happened to me. But it was really bad for business. Nobody wanted to come in. They were either scared or they thought, what kind of a shop can this be? So our customers were far and few in between. And then we moved to, I left there and we went to Pirates Alley. And that we loved. We actually loved it. We actually was trying to buy that location.
I didn't know you were in Pirates Alley. I didn't know. What's there? What is the building now?
Dildo Alley, but it was a Pirates Alley address because it's attached to the cafe.
Okay.
So it was part of Pirates Alley Cafe, the one right next door to the real estate shop.
Yeah.
And I love that shop so much, but it was less than 300. It was like not even 280 square feet, I think it was. But it was a great shop. And actually, after Katrina, we did a haunted house there for all the people that stayed in the city, because we just gotten back and no one was around. Everybody was really depressed. And it was so much fun. We had 10 people that worked in this little tiny shop, and it was $1 to get in. And we had a person out front that put garlic around you so it would protect you. And we acted like the vampires were having a party, but they had gotten out of control. So you can't really come. You have to just run through. And my husband said he would never do it. And my friend Sue's husband said he would never do it. Rooster, he is a Bourbon Street musician. And we needed them to help us. Well, they ended up being our biggest actors. They hammed it up so much. You had to walk through, and my husband's brother was in the closet, getting at you. And we had a chandelier we had tied goblets to that were going around in the air with bats. And people were up on a table, friends of mine, and it was pitch black in that room, so it looked like they were levitating in the air. And then they ran through, and Sue, there was a people boil going on in our beautiful fountain. And somebody was stirring that. And then Sue came down these stairs with a big cross to keep the vampires at bay. And then Steve came down this alleyway on the side with the strobe light behind him. And, what did Rooster do? Oh, no, he was in the bathroom. Rooster was in the bathroom all night long behind a 2-way mirror. And when people looked up, he turned it off. And then all of a sudden he was standing there and they were a vampire, it was just awesome. So it lasted like 2 minutes, and it was so much fun. But and that's the thing about New Orleans, I think, is that people, even in times of devastation, find something really fun to do.
Well, I have dear friends in New Orleans, and somebody told me recently that it's not going to be a matter of if, but it's going to be a matter of when New Orleans doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And and it's heartbreaking because I don't think there's any place on earth like New Orleans. And you talk about it in the New Orleans Vampires book about the characters and the people in New Orleans. We were lucky enough, depending on how you look at it, we were part of Mr. Okra's second line, and that kind of stuff is the characters and the personalities in New Orleans are just are too much. They're too much. And I'm lucky enough to call some of those characters and some of those personalities some of my dear friends. And I look forward to getting back, and hopefully it's not a year. Hopefully it's sometime in 2020. So
you're gonna love my Johnny White's book.
Well, I'm gonna go online, and I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it today.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay. And what is it called? The bar that never closes except when it does, or what is the?
Yeah, well, we were never. It was Johnny White Sports Bar, the tiny joint that never closed until it did. We were the only bar on Bourbon Street that was open 24 hours, and it was the coolest thing. We had a lot of performers like Jan. She was a musician at Pat O'Brien's, and they are on for a half hour, and then they're off for a half hour for hours. And so on our off time, every half hour, she would come in and have a cocktail, and and she'd be sitting with Uncle Louie, the street performer who stands like Uncle Sam with the little dog.
Yeah.
And Suzanne, who dances like a ballerina on the corner. And then tourists. It was like a crazy version of Cheers meets Love Boat, because you had your influx of tourists, but then we had a recurring tourists that would come. They loved the bar so much that they would actually check into Johnny White's before they would check into their hotel rooms. So they would bring their luggage and have their first couple Bloody Marys, and then they'd go check in. And we're really missing that in the French Quarter now, is this locals living room for the locals that are there. We don't have that place. It was amazing. We've tried to recreate it, at least the people that went to Johnny White's. We don't have it anymore, and it's sad. It's sad not to have that little.
Well, on that note, you've tried to create a place for I don't want to say locals, but for members with potions. You have a premier spot. I mean, super, super awesome real estate right on Bourbon Street, but yet you don't have any signs. You don't have any come visit us. It's very hidden. Talk about how you kind of came up with the idea of potions. I mean, you have to walk through. It is very, very speakeasy. I mean, it's as close as you can get to a real speakeasy. You have to walk through a bar, give a password, go through saloon doors, and then walk up a staircase, and sometimes fight a cat that's coming down the stairs.
Yeah.
And it is, and you go through Fritzl's, which is the oldest jazz club on Bourbon Street. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
So tell us about how you got what did I say?
Well, we don't want to know people know where exactly it is.
Well, it's near Fritzl's.
Anyway,
but I got to tell you my favorite potion story before you get into the idea, the history and how you got potions. We were going to do, my wife and I were there. I don't know when this was. It was one of the mini trips, and we were having lunch, and I was supposed to do a show. It was a Thursday night, and I was supposed to do a show, and I got a text from you that says, "We're not doing a show tonight." And that's all it said. And so I text back a question mark, and I show my wife, and I'm like, "Shit, what are we going to do tonight?" Not that it's going to be hard to find something to do, but what are we going to do? And I sent back a question mark, and the crew from, was it Preacher? Had rented, yeah. So instead, James, my friend James from New Orleans Secrets Tours, he and I went to the Whiskey Barrel, is that what it's called, or the Barrel Room? It's over on Magazine Street, and we couldn't go there because they were filming there as well. So yeah, but we watched Preacher. So we watched and we saw the show and we saw it. Like, oh, there it is. So how did you come up with that? I mean, when I met you in November of 2017 at the show I did for James, you were prepared to open. I think you were opening New Year's Eve. Is that right?
Yes.
So back up a little bit. And how did you get into potions? It really is when you step in. If you go to, is it potionslounge.com? If
Yes.
you go to potionslounge.com and become a member, you'll get the information. You really are stepping through into a complete different world. You walk up a staircase, and you open a door, and it is you are stepping into a complete different world. The chairs that you sit in are the high backed chairs, and the you walk on the balcony. It's unbelievable. Potionslounge.com. Check it out. Marita, please tell us about how you came up with Potions.
So it was really weird coincidence is we opened our boutique on New Year's Eve in 2003. And after we closed Johnny White's, we lost the lease to that little bar that I worked at. And for years afterwards, people were coming to the shop, my regulars and friends and like family, and they wanted to hang out. And if you see my shop, it's very small and there's nowhere to hang out, And so it was awful because I wanted to see these people more. And I thought, God, it'd be so cool if behind me was the courtyard could be a bar and they could just like buy a book and hang out there and I could go and hang out with them for a while. So that was the first idea that I had, like to open up a place that had a bar attached, a shop. And then I thought, people love secret things and I love secret things and I love magical things. And so I had seen where our bar is. I walk by every day I walk by there because I lived right around the corner when I went to my shop. And I asked the girl one day that worked at the door, Kate, what do they do with upstairs? And she says, oh, we use it for private parties. And so I didn't say anything for a year because I knew it was going to be my bar. And like when I visualize, it's like visualization is a magical, amazing thing. It's really true. If you close your eyes and visualize something and really feel it, you can make it happen. I do it all the time. Anyway, I would see it. I told my friend Camille, I said, that's going to be my bar one day. And I didn't tell anybody else about it though. And I'd look at it and I could see it. I could imagine it exactly. I'd never even been inside the bar. So finally I was ready. I had some money and, I thought, okay, it's time to do this. And I did a marketing plan and I gave it to Kate and she goes, oh, I love it, but he's never going to go for it. He hates anything, the owner, anything witches or vampires or anything like that. So then she calls me and she goes, you're not going to believe this, but he's interested. So I met with him and that was in November. And it was before October. So, because I said I can't do anything in October. So let's plan on, I thought about it. I can order everything in November. Let me in December, my husband and I, and then, we'll open up New Year's Eve. It just worked out that way. It was like weird coincidence, but it's great because our anniversary is a pretty big one now, Anyway, it was just one big white room, basically. It's all white and it's 2 rooms, but it was like just not very attractive. And so I just, visualized what I wanted. My husband helped me a lot and huge ceilings. And I actually got vertigo on the ladder when we were painting and we did everything so quickly. But we opened up New Year's Eve, had a big party, 60 people, and we got a lot of members then. We have over 100 members now. The first 100 members were charter members. And their membership never goes up, so that's a really nice bonus for them. And I'm actually doing a new marketing plan for Potions right as soon as I finish the one for our website about how I see that moving forward. It's going to be very different because like you said, you have to go through all these hoops and ladders to get there, and we have.
But that's what makes it cool. That's what makes it cool to me. Is the things that are just laid out for you are very Burger King and McDonald's.
Right.
And the idea that you have to go and that guy says, what do what can I get you? And you're like, oh, I'm going back here. That's what makes it cool to me.
Yeah, that's cool. You have to have a password. Excuse me.
So while Marita coughs, I got to tell you, she is my favorite guest I've had on this booth by far, because the first question she asked me is it okay if I drink while we do this?
Yeah, I got my vampire wine.
Yeah, so as people that have watched this so far know that's kind of what I do. It's my way to drink on Sunday afternoons. It's my excuse. So yeah, all right. So back to
but yeah, that is what makes it special, having the password. And and I don't Potions, I really want it to stay the way it is, and I'd like to be more member oriented and be a real speakeasy, and I mean I love that my customers from the boutique can go there because I wanted something magical for them. Darn it, this is going to happen now. When I talk too much, it tells me not to. So
Well,
I'm a
yeah,
regulator.
lubricate the throat, and
Yeah. Anyway, so my vision is I really want to have 4 of them. A witch-themed one, a spirity one, and a voodoo one. The voodoo one, I can see that one so perfectly. It's just I really have to open up the voodoo one, and I think the voodoo speakeasy will be more than for my customers, and potions will remain the real secret magical one for members and be a little bit more exclusive. So that's my vision for the future.
do you have a location? Do you have a location in mind? I mean, don't tip it, but do you have a location in mind for that?
I have 4 in mind.
Awesome.
There are 4 locations that I found that are, I'd like them all, actually. I really would. I would like them all. And I would love each one of my staff members to have one. You know what I mean? Like be partners.
I've got a couple comments on Facebook that I want to read to you. Karen Stevens says, we visit Boutique des Vampires every time we're in New Orleans. Such a cool store and awesome staff. I'm currently reading Josie Arlington's Storyville. It's so interesting. We absolutely love New Orleans. And then my friend, the doctor, as I refer to her, in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I talk about New Orleans so much that anybody who says I'm going to New Orleans, what do I need to see? I give them 3 recommendations. I say you have to go to Mr. Gregory's Shrimp Boil. You have to do the tour with New Orleans Secrets, and go to the vampire store and tell them that you're a friend of Paul's. And my friend Dr. Johnson from Cheyenne, Wyoming says, and this is why we became fast friends, Paul. I swear that city calls to me all the time. I am heartbroken every time I leave and feel at peace every time I go back.
Yep. So many people have that vibe, you know. We have some people that come back to potions a lot too. And this one guy, he was a flight attendant, and he said that he was told he had to stay overnight in New Orleans. And he thought, oh, I know exactly where I'm going. So he was walking down crowded Bourbon Street, and he couldn't wait to get into potions. And there is this kind of like, vibe when you walk in. And I love it too. I mean, I love that bar so much. It's so much fun. It's not just a bar. It's an experience. You know? Well,
and I've done shows there, and in my audience has been one of the executive producers for The Simpsons, a guy from Storage Wars. I mean, you have a pretty high-end clientele.
Yeah, and interesting people.
That is I guess that's the goal in life, right? To have an interesting group of people around you. If you have a boring group around you, you're a boring person. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky enough in life to have amazing friends and really creative people in my life.
Well, my husband and I, Steve and I have worked at the bar, it was just the 2 of us for the first several months. And we met so many interesting people. And sometimes we were there till 6 a.m. And just because we wanted to be, we stayed there until 4 with just one couple several times.
And I got to tell you a funny story about your husband. You have introduced me to him probably 10 times. And he's like, Marita, I know who this guy is.
I just don't think people are going to recognize him.
I know. Your husband Steve is one of the good guys. One of the good guys. So tell us a little bit about what's funny is we're 30 minutes in and I haven't hit my list of questions yet. So your new book is Josie Arlington's Storyville.
Right.
And you've released it in two different ways. You can buy it on your website. You can buy the deluxe edition, which comes in a really cool box with a map and some of the Belloc. Is it Belloc or Belloc? Belloc, which is also the name of the guy in Indiana Jones.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yep. Pictures, which is the one that I got. Now, you said before we got on live that you didn't set out to write this book on Josie Arlington.
No, I was working on a book. It's actually a really weird story. I was working on a novel about the Carter brothers.
So real quick, tell everybody who doesn't know, who is Josie Arlington?
Josie Arlington is a very infamous New Orleans madam who really turned owning a brothel into an experience rather than, being controlled by men. She took it upon herself to control herself and opened up a really awful brothel, and then was catapulted by many situations in her life into this idea of opening up an exclusive brothel that would be, a place where people would just go and meet. And the sex was like, not that it was it was equal to the experience that you had there. So it was a beautiful, beautiful place to go. And yeah, and she was an amazing person. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her when I get to. Let me tell you the beginning first.
Fire away. I've read the book, and as you know, everybody who's watching this knows that I'm a magician, and I do theatrical shows, and I am currently working on a Storyville seance, and I recently acquired an original blue book, and it has several Josie Arlington girls in it. So please fire away. It's your.
It all started when a building collapsed on Royal Street. The balcony fell off, and it was negligence on the part of the people who owned it. So I believe in order to stay out of trouble, they gave the property for as long as the city wanted it to UNO's archaeological department to excavate and see what they can find in order to, you know, stay out of trouble and not have to worry about, I guess, making good on the building falling down. So that's happened. And when the archaeological dig started, I was just really kind of in awe of that. And it gave me an idea for a vampire novel. And the Carter brothers' home is supposed to have been the one right next door to where this happened. And so all this crazy, amazing stuff happened. So I started working on that, and I get a phone call from History Press. Actually, it was an email from an editor. And they wanted to know if I'd be interested in writing a book about New Orleans vampires, legends, like where they came from. And I thought, well, I'd be stupid not to, because I'm doing all this research on the Carter brothers right now anyway. And of course, it would be good for business. So if that wouldn't have happened, I don't know that I ever would have finished anything, because having an editor, it made all the difference. And they're so professional to work with, and just, it was a dream come true. So when that book came out, then I went back to writing the Carter brothers novel, and I needed a prostitute for Wayne Carter to have an affair with. And so I started looking at prostitutes from the past, from Storyville time, and Josie just blew me away. I mean, I thought she was perfect. But then the more I was researching about her, you know, I thought, wow, she's really an amazing person. Well, I don't know why I said this, but I was at lunch with my husband at Vincent's, and we'd known the bartender who works there for many, many years, since I moved here, actually. She used to work at Two Jacks on Decatur. And so I don't know why I said this to her, but I said, well, my next book's going to be about Josie Arlington. And it wasn't. It was about the Carter brothers, you know, but that's what came out of my mouth. And she goes, why? And I said, well, because she's a character in my vampire novel. And she says, well, she's my great-great aunt. And I thought, what? Are you serious? So Darlene and I started talking, and she goes, well, you can take pictures of stuff that we have, you know, artifacts from those brothel and whatever you need. And I thought, well, I really don't need that, because it's a novel. You know, I really don't need that. Well, as I started doing more research and found out it's ridiculous, the amazing amount of things I found out. I contacted my publisher, and I said, you know, would you guys be interested in a book on just Josie Arlington? And they said, yes. So that's really the reason I wrote that book. And the most amazing thing I think that's come out of the book for me is the people that I've met, like Darlene, one of the ancestors, you know, who was my friend. We've since been friends now with her cousin, Christine. And I mean, it's just so cool to be able to connect them. And now their grandchildren are playing together, and they didn't even really know each other, you know? And to me, that's fascinating. And then WWL did an unbelievable spot on my book release for this book, because my goal is, well, I'll tell you this little piece of the puzzle. At the end of her life, Josie, she was just enamored of her what's it called when you're the aunt, her niece, and Anna Dubler. And she took her under her wing and did everything for her, and even hid her brothel life from her, to the extent of buying a beautiful mansion on Esplanade. And this girl Anna, even in her adult life, until Josie passed away, never knew that Josie was a madam. And it was really important to Josie that Anna not know. And so she had a lover, Brady, who traveled with her, and everybody, she wanted her friends to call her, you know, Mrs. Brady, because she didn't want Anna to think she was living in sin. It was really important to her. So at the end of her life, she pretty much gave everything to Anna, most of her belongings and money. And she was really kind to her whole family, but Anna got the lion's share. And a week after she died, Josie's lover, Brady, married Anna a week after she died. Now, a great part of that was to secure the property, but there's evidence from the court records that there was something going on between them, you know, before that. And that's kind of devastating. And then the other thing is that a year and a day when it's legal to take a body out of a tomb, Josie had spent a crazy amount at that time, $5,500 to build this beautiful rose granite tomb, or rose marble tomb. And that's where she wanted to be. The time and money. I mean, when I looked at the records, I found them at Tulane University, all the old files, every angle of it, every plan you could have. I had them all spread out, and I started to cry because I thought, God, that's where that woman wanted to be. And how do you take that away from somebody at the end of where they can't protect themselves? So a year and a day when it's legal to take the body out of a tomb, exactly a year and a day,
right?
They pulled the tomb and took her body out and put it in a unmarked tomb that she also owned.
So you don't know where she is? We don't know where she is today?
We do actually know where she is.
Okay.
But nobody else knows where she is. The family knows.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my friend James Corbin from New Orleans Secrets, who I've given a plug enough that, James, you need to send me your book for free at this point. He gives a tour of of St. Louis, #1, and he gives a tour of the one that's in the Garden District, and he points out where some of the unmarked graves is. Do you know where she is? You don't have to tell us, but do you know where she is?
She's in Metairie Cemetery.
In Metairie, okay.
That's where her tomb is as well, and she's in that same cemetery. So that helps us because that makes it easier for us to put her body back into the tomb. Now our goal is to put her body into her original tomb.
So on that, I'm sorry to interrupt. My friend Calvin Von Crush, who I had on last week, is part of the Talking Board Historical Society. And what they've done is they've gone and they've looked at Ouija boards throughout history, and they've gone through and they've picked the people that are important, and they've done fundraisers to build memorials, to give them new headstones and give them proper recognition for what they've done. Is there something in the works to do this?
Yeah, that might be interesting to talk to him. So we have a lot of challenges, and what I started to say is WWL did an amazing spot on the whole book and the release of it and the project about putting Josie back in her tomb. And from that, we got a guy who showed up, a really nice man who is a producer who wants to do a documentary about the family's challenge of putting her back into the tomb. And so, this virus put us on hold for that, but he calls me every week and makes sure that we're still on board, and we are absolutely on board because in order to if we do the documentary, in return for that we get access to all of his sources, which is state attorneys and and all that, and that we wouldn't have to pay for it, which is a huge benefit. Now if we can't put her back in her original tomb, then we're going to build another tomb, which is very expensive. And so that's when we're going to need resources. Right now, everybody asks me, why don't you have a GoFundMe? I don't know what we need. I'm not going to ask for money if I don't know if I need it. So hopefully we won't need it. Because
Marita,
especially at
here is my pledge that I will come to New Orleans, because I'm always looking for an excuse to come to New Orleans. And I will do a show, and 100% of the proceeds from the show that I do will go to Josie Arlington getting a proper burial and a proper tomb.
That's awesome.
So you count on me for whatever you need, and I'm in.
Thank you. And that means a lot. Really, it does. And we will be doing that because we're definitely going to do this. We're going to make it happen. And it's not a small project. So, but it's so important. I mean, really, it baffles me that somebody would take this woman out of this tomb, especially when she loved you so much. How do you do that? What kind of a person could do that to a person? Anyway, that's where she belongs. And, now she's behind somewhere where nobody knows where she is. And that's clearly not what she wanted. She wanted people to see her tomb with this beautiful bronze statue out front. And, she wanted to make a statement. Her whole life she was making statements. And I think she deserves this. And I feel like the ground's going to shake a little on that day. I'm excited about it. Yeah.
So what, if you could in a couple of sentences, if you could give a tag for what you want people to know about Josie Arlington Storyville, what do you want to say about Josie Arlington Storyville, and then we're going to move on to Saint Germain.
Okay. Well, not only will you learn a lot about Storyville and the time before Storyville, about what kind of built our culture of New Orleans. I think that's what the book is really more about. It's about where this culture that we have today really started, where it came from. And there's things in there that I had no idea about. When I was doing this research, I was just, it was so much fun. So you'll learn a lot about Josie, who is an amazing person, but you also learn a lot about the history of New Orleans.
So what's next in the Josie Arlington story? I mean, the tomb and the. I mean, obviously you didn't set out to write this, but I can tell. I know you well enough to know I can tell you're not done with Josie Arlington.
No. No, I mean, we have the project of putting her back in the tomb, but really, I mean, she was the catalyst, and so was the vampire book to finish my novel. So the novel has been finished. It went to an agent that I really, really want, and the agent gave me some really great feedback, but it requires rewriting pretty much a third of the book. And I can do that or I cannot do that. And I think I'm going to go that route and actually rewrite it. So right now it's with another editor that is amazing, and I'm waiting for storyline edits from her. So I really feel like, I put so much into this book. I don't want to. I could have it published with another publisher already, but I really want this to be a blockbuster, and I think it will be, and it means a lot to me. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and go the route with this really great agent has advised, because she knows her shit,
Right.
So, yeah. But I also have a werewolf book I'm working on that's a lovely story. It's called The Mystic of Scaries. It's a little vampire werewolf love story. It takes place in Scaries, Ireland. A lot of historical information on that one, too. I was actually working on the sequel of the Carter Brothers, and we'll see. I really like that book a lot, but if I rewrite the third part of the first book, the sequel is going to be a whole different vampire story. So, that's going to change things. I have a thriller I'm working on that's a crime thriller called Eavesdrop, and it's about a court stenographer that gets involved in the case, and it's pretty exciting. It's really fun. And then I have a voodoo book I'm working on called Abiku, which means in African, born to die, and it's a true story about a guy who grew up in Africa who now runs a hospital, and he's the GM of the hospital in Seattle. And so I got a lot of projects in the writing forefront.
That's awesome. And Marita and I were talking before I hit the go live button. I've been working on the mystery collection book for a little over a year, and writing a book is fucking hard. It's not easy. And this woman is putting out quality books pretty regularly. So that's pretty admirable.
Well, history books, I'll tell you, history books are a lot easier to write than fiction. I mean, not the writing part of it, but people always said, wait till you go through the edits. It's grueling going through edits. And I didn't find that at all with my history books. I was like, I loved the edits. The editors were really intelligent, and they made a lot of sense. And I loved the way we were incorporating, I loved the program we worked with. But yeah, the novel thing is totally different, because you have this idea in your mind, where you want it to go, and they can do whatever they want, because it's not true. It's fiction,
Right.
Even though mine is historical fiction, the fiction part is what I need to change. And it bothers you, it's your baby. And so I now understand that. But with the magic, real magic. I mean, you're in a good track. You're in a good path.
Well, I've been working on this book for a little over a year, and my good buddy Vic Nadata from Gemini Artifacts is helping me quite a bit. I'm calling it the Monkey's Paw, after the W.W. Jacobs story. I don't know if you ever read the W.W. Jacobs story, The Monkey's Paw. If you haven't, look it up. I think it's free on Kindle. It's old story about the idea that an object can grant wishes.
Oh.
And so it's hard. It's hard sitting down. You've got all the thoughts up here, and translating those to written word. You think you've got. It's because I understand. Coming from a finance background, I used to talk with customers, because I dealt with finance every day. I dealt with numbers and banking and regulation every day, and I just expected them to understand what I knew. And that's the problem I'm having with writing a book, a technical book on magic, that I expect everybody to understand what I know on the magic methods and the history of a move or the idea of magic. So writing a book is hard, and I give you 100 standing ovations for writing the books you've written. This New Orleans Vampires book I reread this weekend. And you were recently on the William Shatner show on, is it History Channel, or is it History Channel, right? Called The Unexplained, talking about one of probably my favorite chapter in the book on the Count Saint Germain.
Mhm.
So the Count Saint Germain was a pretty big part of the show. Um, what what do you believe for the show, and what do you believe as Marita about Count Saint Germain? Now, I also got to tell you, Marita has a Characters Unlimited Zoltar machine in her store of the Count Saint Germain. I saw that. I went home. I called Characters Unlimited and I said, okay, I need one of these in my basement. And I ordered one for Alexander, the Man Who Knows, my favorite of the Golden Age magicians. And I gave you credit when I called them. They said, oh, we love Marita. We love her. We had so much fun. So having
That
said
was
that,
a lot of fun. Actually, that was a big thing for me. I was in love with Saint Germain. I still am with my machine. And we had a party for him when he arrived, and it ended up being on the show Shipping Wars. They shipped it to him.
And that's the guy that was in my audience one of the nights of your shows. The guy that delivered it was in my audience that night, and his girlfriend was there, and she was, for lack of a better word, she was a true believer.
Yeah.
And she believed that I was contacting spirits. And it led to a very long and kind of exhausting conversation afterwards. But yeah, Shipping Wars.
Well, with my book, I was really careful not to ruin the legends. I didn't want it to be this like this book that like, oh, well, I thought that was real, but now it's not, So that was really hard, and I think I did a fun job with the book, because when you read it, there's still there's this mystery, behind it. But with Saint Germain, the more research I did on him, I mean, he really was a person, Saint Germain, right? And he was such an amazing person that it's easy to see that legends would have been built from him. He was a character for sure, talking as if he had lived 500 years in the past, and was a very good linguist, and he was a brilliant, brilliant man. And he was also very altruistic. He really wanted to help different economies in the world. He discovered this way how to create pigments for color that were so vibrant, and he knew the French economy was suffering. So he brought this particular technique to France. And, just out of the goodness of his heart, he asked for a place for his staff to live, and that was it. And he was a very well-renowned musician, and he was able, he had the gift of gab, where he talked his way into places like the French opera or the English opera house, and was able to just write an opera that became the most famous opera for that aria. Sorry, other way around. It was the most famous aria for that opera. And I mean, who can do that, right? And he also was able to fix stones, and people thought it was magic. And it is magic. I mean, so many things that we talk about, we don't think it's magic. It is magic that we can take a diamond that has imperfection, and through different techniques can make it perfect again. I mean, that, yeah, it's science, but science is magic. So he was able to do it for the king at the time, and people just thought that he was, fantastic. Now, he also had a very fantastical death, and that was very questionable, and that's why I think all these legends came about. But to me, the man himself, the real person, is way more fascinating than, a man that bit a woman and she fell off a balcony. To me, I love that too. I love vampires. I love anything about vampires. But when you're talking about Saint Germain, I mean, I would really like to be able to go back in time and know this person, because he was a pretty spectacular person.
So that's the book story. What do you I mean, and this is something we emailed back and forth, or Facebook message back and forth about this. What do you believe? I mean, what do you, Marita Crandle, as a person, do you believe this? Do you carry this forward? What is magic, and how real is the paranormal to Marita the person?
Well, okay, I didn't believe in ghosts at all until I moved to New Orleans, and I've seen two myself, and maybe even three. One, it's weird when they fade, like it's been, it was before I moved here. It was my first ghost experience, and that one doesn't seem real to me anymore because it was so long ago. But the most recent one was when we moved into Potions, and my husband and I were working alone at night, and we had a couple there, and it was just one couple, and it was late at night, and this is the first time I saw this the spirit. And I knew the man that used to run Fritzel's. His name was Dutch, and he used to come have a drink with me the corner. We were only a corner away at Johnny White's at night after he closed. He'd have a glass of wine, very infrequently. Anyway, nice guy. And he, which makes the bar so amazing, is that that gentleman was single-handedly responsible for bringing Jägermeister to the United States. So, yeah, really cool.
Every frat boy in the United States thanks that man.
Yeah. And what's really neat about that is every year Jaeger brings something to our bar, and they brought us an awesome Marie Laveau poster. It's on metal. Really, really cool. Anyway, so we're there at night, and Dutch had passed away, and he was living in the apartment when he passed away. I don't know if he passed away in the apartment, but he was living there at the time. And his wife Rose is still alive. Anyway, we were there late at night, and I was sitting at the bar. My husband was tending bar, and I was sitting with this nice couple. And I got up to get water from around the corner, and all of a sudden I see the man walk past me. And all I remember is looking down and seeing gray pants, like dress pants. And then I took my water around the corner, and they were both sitting there. And I said, "That's weird. But didn't you just walk that way?" He goes, "No." I go, "That's really weird." So it bothered me because it had happened. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't my imagination. I saw gray pants. And so, but I let it go because, what was I going to do about it? So then about a week later, again, we had just opened a couple months, and my husband went out. We were alone now. And my husband went outside to go get beer, outside the bar. We have our little landing. And I see my husband, I thought, walk into the bathroom. I'd forgotten he went outside. But I remember just seeing gray pants. And that's all I saw. I didn't see the top part. I looked up and I saw gray pants walking into the bathroom. And it didn't even dawn on me that he was wearing jeans. I just thought, oh, he just went into the bathroom. And so then as soon as that happened, he walked in the door. And I go, oh, my God, that is so weird. So I looked in the bathroom. There's nobody there, right? And, again, this really happened. So I kind of forget about it. A week goes by, and Sue, who was tending bar one night, she called me. It was just a few days after this happened, actually. And she says, "Marita, the weirdest thing just happened. A woman went into the bathroom, and she came running out screaming that a man in a gray suit was in there." And I got chills because of the gray suit thing. And that's the only thing I could remember about this guy, right? But I mean, I know what I saw. I definitely saw it, right? So, and that's my most recent one. It's the most vivid in my imagination because it just happened. But I have one other one. We were living on Orleans, which is just a block from the bar. And I rescued German Shepherds. And I had 2 very aggressive German Shepherds that I ended up keeping. And I rehabilitated them. So he's not aggressive anymore. But anyway, I have to be very aware when I'm around people. So I had them on my left side, both of them. And I'm the only one on the street except for a couple that's kind of catty-cornered from me. And I'm walking to my apartment, which is a couple doors down. So a car goes by, and then all of a sudden, I see a man's arm, a red felt coat is on. It's summertime. It's during the day, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He reaches across me like this, like this far across me, and like he's gonna grab the leashes actually. And it's, like I said, a red felt coat. And I screamed bloody murder because I thought he was gonna get bitten. That was the only thing on my mind, was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And all of a sudden, like before my eyes, I see his arm disappear. Now, the couple across the way, I'm like, did you see that? Did you see that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh my God, there was like a person and now he's not there. And I went home and told my husband, and he, it's like, well, that, whatever. But again, that really happened. And people say the French Quarter is so haunted because it's so old. It's not so old at all. I'm from Germany, and it's like a pimple in age, to any like older country. But I think, and I do believe in spirits now, and I think that maybe some are stuck in time. Maybe some are on a coil, it's an impression in atmosphere. What was I going to say? Oh, I think the French Quarter, because of the way people die. There's a lot of people that love the French Quarter so much, but they OD. Before I moved to New Orleans, I didn't know one person that had died in my entire life. My grandparents were still alive, everybody. And I became friends with people that died like in 2 years of just drinking themselves to death. And it breaks my heart, that and drugs and drinking. And they love the city, so they don't want to leave maybe. And then I think also so many people come to New Orleans to hide, and there's some really bad people. And, that could be an element of it too. I don't know, but it's definitely haunted. So I do believe in spirits. And I more than that though, I believe in the magic of the world. And that's what I was saying before. And I was going to talk about, a kind of a class that I'm working on that I'm not sure if I'm going to do or not, but it's called Magic Carpet Magic. And the problem I have with it is that I don't know how long I want it to be. it would really be cool if it could be like a weekend, because you can't teach like what I want to teach in a day or in a couple hours. So that's my only dilemma, is how do you actually make this financially feasible, for anybody? So then I thought about doing it online, like, on a Zoom thing, but I don't know. That's the part. But it's about embracing the magic of life, and those things that you think are coincidences. I mean, sure, there are some coincidences, but there are many things that it's impossible for them to be coincidences. And if you start writing them down and backtracking into them, like, what happened to you, it's so fascinating how much magic there really is in the world. And when I talked about visualization, I mean, that's magic to me too. The things that I've created in my life that I have just seen when I close my eyes, and suddenly they're there. And I've gotten to the point where I have to stop myself. Like, I have to stop myself from seeing it, or I'm going to force myself to do it. I don't even do it. Like the bar, I was sitting at my shop one day and I'm like, what is fucking wrong with me? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have time to do a bar. And I started kind of hyperventilating. I'm like, what am I thinking? And I all kind of worked out, and it's so magical and wonderful. But I was driven, like it was my spirit making me do it.
And I don't want to take anything away from you as a person. You've got a really, really awesome support staff.
But I didn't have them then.
Right. You have to. You have to.
When I was ready to open the bar, Leah had just joined me, and then April, like magic, came. That was a really weird experience too. And then Kim, and then Tori.
Yeah. And
it's been magical how they have been attracted to the shop, and they seem to love it, just as much as I do. And now, yes.
Poor Tori, her first day as an employee of yours, she had to sit through my bullshit magic for bartenders class.
Oh, it was awesome.
Right.
I mean, what a great first day,
Right. She got to sit through. I had written this whole deal, and I mean, Frank, I worked really hard on putting together notes and this whole school, for lack of a better term, of magic for bartenders. And Marita let me debut it for her staff. And Michael and April are now out in the world with this Cabinet of Curiosities, doing some of the stuff that they learned that afternoon at Potions. And that there's nothing more gratifying to me than to know that Michael and April are doing some of this stuff for paying audiences every day. So that's if I can help you at all with your magic carpet magic class, please let me know. I'm in.
Well, and it's all about, it's about everything. It's about yoga, and it's about nutrition. And so I think like a weekend would really be an amazing time to, you get a magic carpet, which I found yoga mats that are magic carpets, but they're very expensive. So I actually was thinking about these carpets I get from Wayfair. They're just the perfect size, and it would actually be a carpet that they could take home with them and use for this, to continue it, But you really have suspension of disbelief for the time that you're in the class, and you really feel like you're traveling places, and you incorporate your soul. Like, I don't know if you've ever done yoga, but when you do yoga, your mind and body are so connected. It's an amazing feeling. Like, for the rest of the day, if you do it in the morning, you just feel it the rest of the day. It makes you want to eat better. It's an amazing thing. And so it starts with that, and then like the food would all be brought in. And it would be from places that we're traveling to, just to give you that little bit of magic, like what you can do, what you can visualize. And then I think what we were doing is building your own grimoire. I use this one, and this is my little Bible, and I write in it all the time about all my magical experiences and how I read tarot. And you can make it as beautiful as you want. Like I do all kinds of gold leafing in it and stuff. And so I don't know. I don't think it'll show well, but I'll show you like one of my favorite pages is that I just was working on. I don't think it's gonna look like my roots. Let's see.
Slide it just over just a tad. There you go.
Yeah. But anyway, so then I just write everything down in it, constantly, and I don't have enough time. I wish I had more time to do more. I do it at night when I'm sitting alone. But anyway, so that would be, you'd leave with a grimoire that you're starting and like this magical like travel. So
the we're kind of derailing here, but getting back on the list of questions I had emailed you earlier. You were recently, last Saturday night, you were on the William Shatner show called The Unexplained on the History Channel. and you talked a lot about Saint Germain.
Yes.
And talk a little bit through about being on TV. How did that go? How did that? I mean, they came to New Orleans, and you said that they filmed over 2 hours with you.
Yeah, it was definitely over 2 hours.
And you were on the History Channel for probably a good 15 minutes. I mean, would you say? I mean, in all?
No, I'd say my actual
5, 6,
probably 3 minutes.
Okay,
maybe 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were without a doubt. You were the highlight of the show for my family watching it.
Oh, thank you.
3 of my 4 family members have met you, and they were all excited to see somebody they've met on TV.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, yeah, I mean, actually, it was my favorite one. I've done quite a few interviews now, and I actually have one coming out with Don Wild from Mysteries at the Museum.
Oh, yeah.
One is about Carter Brothers. And that one is a new show, though, and they don't have the name for it yet. This last time I Googled about 2 weeks ago. So I don't know what it's called yet, but I'll post it when I know.
Please.
And gosh, I was on, what's that show? It was also about Saint Germain. She's a detective in Los Angeles. And it's true. I mean, she really is a detective in Los Angeles. And people hire her to do unusual things, but there's a show. And it's called, oh man, isn't that terrible? Well, I'll have to post it again.
Yeah, and send me the link, and I'll post it on the Mystery Collection Facebook page.
Okay, so I was on that recently too, and that was a good one. But the William Shatner one, I mean, they were very, very professional. It's probably my favorite interview that I've done. That was really a nice one, even though he wasn't there. Don Wild was at the interview, and he was a darling person, really, really lovely and nice. And that one I said is about the Carter Brothers, and that one's still coming out. So yeah, I mean, you film and film and film, and then you see a couple minutes of you looking terrible. They had highlighted my eye makeup in a really weird way. It was, I don't know. But anyway, always critical. Like right now, I'm just, I mean, my roots are not that dark. They're really not.
And I got to tell you, I always wonder when people are on TV, they know they're going to be on TV, right? They know. And some of the people who were on the episode you were on, I'm thinking, okay, you knew you were going to be on TV, and that's what you chose to wear on TV. I mean, so I thought you came across very well. And
I even for this interview, because I saw my roots, I even had a hat ready to go. Yeah, no, I'll go happy.
So,
anyway,
so we have a couple questions, real quick. We've got a woman that asked. So Angela, my friend Angela from New Orleans Secrets, says that's why Fritzl's has such a Jägermeister centric menu. Is that exactly
right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Angela, Mark, and James are some of my favorite people. I know you have a relationship with them as well at New Orleans Secrets. And then
well, James comes in and I love when magicians come in and just randomly do magic, and that's one of our deals with magicians. So if you're a magician and you're listening, you don't have to be a member to come in. You don't have to pay a cover. Your cover is you do one magic trick to one person or one group, whatever you decide, and that's your pay. How you get it.
Well, and I want to give a little bit of a shout out to some New Orleans magicians that have been very, very supportive of me. Dr. Joe Dalgo is a great friend, and he was going to help me out and do open for me at what was going to be my 5th anniversary show at Potions. The night of March 29th was going to mark the 5th anniversary from when I left my coat and tie desk job. And Joe offered so kindly to open for me and to do a show with me. Hudson Brock is another magician, a local magician that is awesome. And so you've attracted a really good group of magicians to show up at Potions, and I think that's awesome. I know Dr. Joe's done a series of shows for you.
He's done many shows, and again, like he pops in sometimes and just does 1 or 2 magic tricks, and that's what James does. And what is going on over here? Sorry. Anyway, I love that. I love that just when the magician is just in the house. I love the shows for sure, but it's even more fun for me when I just see a magician come in and they're in a corner doing a magic trick. I love that about our bar.
And I love that you love that. But as a performing magician, I hate it. I hate it when I know that magicians are in the crowd. There was a guy at the last show I did for you that sat in the back corner of the room with a notepad, and he wrote all night. And I asked everybody in the audience, do you know who that guy was? Do you know who that guy was? And nobody knew who he was. And it's still, to this day, I mean, I haven't been there since, I think the last time I was there was November. And it's still driving me crazy that this guy just wrote all night.
Well, that would drive me too, yeah.
It drives me crazy that this guy wrote my entire show, and I don't know who he was, and I don't know. Anyway. So to the list, the question I got to ask you. Last week I had my dear friend Calvin Von Crush, who is the occult collector on the Amazon Prime show. He also is a board member of the Talking Board Historical Society. I emailed you this question. The question I emailed you was, what scares you? Are there any topics too sensitive or too much for your scene, your travels, or your stories? Is there anything that's off limits? And you said Ouija boards. Yes. I'm curious. And I know why you're wearing the necklace you're wearing, because I have those necklaces and I give them to the people that I love when I travel. And I appreciate you wearing that as a nod to the mystery collection. But what about Ouija boards? You said you had a bad experience. Tell us about that.
I did. But I really have to reiterate what you guys said the other day. I laughed out loud for like a half an hour.
Me and Calvin?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said, you said you had heard somewhere that nobody can understand why this virus is going on because there's so many white girls with crystals are walking around.
With bangs. I said bangs and crystals.
It was hilarious.
You know what's funny is I got several emails. Were you talking about me? Were you making fun of me? That's one of those things. If you thought I was talking about you, I was talking about you.
Anyway, no, what happened was I had my first vampire shop on Orleans, and my friend Camille introduced me to these other two girls that lived in the quarter. One was named Jen. I don't remember the other name. Anyway, one of them brought a Ouija board, and when I first had my vampire shop, I thought it would be really cool to be open late at night. So again, we had that ridiculous situation where you had to walk down a carriageway, and it wasn't conducive to business. But we made our candles there and stuff. I almost burnt down the French Quarter making candles there one night. Anyway, Camille brought a Ouija, or I think the other girl brought a Ouija board, and I'd never played with a Ouija board. And so we, had a table, and we were there like late at night. I mean, I would be there until 4 a.m. sometimes, because at the time my boyfriend, Steve, my husband now, got off at 4. And so I thought it'd be good you'd be open, and I'd make candles and nobody would come in. And it was weird. Anyway, they got the Ouija board out, and they had the planchette, and we all had our hands on it. And a couple times I made it move just because I was getting bored, and you can feel what it feels like when you make it move. Well, Camille stands up, and she said, because Martha, this woman named Martha, died in that house. And Camille had all kinds of weird experiences with things falling that shouldn't have fallen, and she would always blame Martha. So Camille says, well, nothing's going to happen as long as I'm here. And so as soon as she stood up, that thing levitated across the table to yes or no, I can't remember. But I mean, there's a difference when a person moves it and when it moves by itself. Right. And it's believable, actually. And I put it back in the box, and I gave it to, I think I just told her to take it away. Something about a girl we had people that came and wanted one time. But anyway, I never had touched one again because, the way the French Quarter is, the people that we could attract, if you don't know what you're doing, I wouldn't want to open that door. And I don't know how much I believe in that or not, but I don't need to find out. Right.
Side note, Joe Dalgo just joined the conversation. And Joe, I just said a bunch of nice shit about you. And you just joined. So you missed it. I'm not going to say anything more nice about you. I said it all. You'll have to go back and watch it. Marita and I both said nice things about you. And that's what you get for coming in an hour late.
So, I guess one thing, though, real quick, is that Joe had a show. He's a veterinarian. And he had a show at his veterinary club. At his veterinary shop, and he did such a great job with it. They closed all the walls were covered in black, black drapes, and it was really, really good, really fun, and really well done, very mystical. I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
And I have a friend. In New Orleans who needed some vet help, and Joe helped her out. So Joe is one of the good guys. there's a lot of scumbags in magic, as we're going to get to in a couple weeks. Actually, next week, my good friend Aiden Sinclair and I are going to talk. And I imagine he and I have been friends for a long time. He's probably my oldest friend in magic, and we're going to talk about some of the scumbags in magic. And Joe is not one of them. Joe is one of the good guys. So I'm glad that Joe is both of our friends. So back to the list of questions that I sent you. What's next, Marita? You've talked about the Carter book, the Carter Brothers book, and you're working on your website, and you've talked about maybe expanding the idea of the potions business model. But you talked earlier about kind of a new business plan for potions, or for the idea of potions. So what's next for you?
So I haven't put it all down yet, but my thoughts are, it's going to be really difficult to have any kind of tourism, and we'll, even in phase 3 of the proposed reopening, it has a lot of social distancing, and so our bar is very small as well. And I mean, what I'm going to focus on now are the memberships, and a lot of our members have even come to me and said that when this is all open, they'd like to have a private party, and so I want to make it. Have you ever seen the movie John Wick?
Which one? I'm sorry.
John Wick.
With Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
I know about it. I don't know if I've seen it or not.
Okay, well, you should watch it, especially number 2. Anyway, they're great movies. But I want to make it even more magical and secretive in a kind of underground kind of way. So I want to have right now, when you join, you get a little potion bottle, and you get our toast. We have our own potions toast that I have on a postcard, but you really don't get a welcome package, but you do get your own password for our website that only members can see. But we haven't really tapped into that, only because I never had time. And so I want to really recreate the website and make it very magical, and make it, more just special, secretive things. We have a member pendant that is a beautiful scarab. Actually, Dr. Joe has one. He's a member. It's for a lifetime membership, and lifetime memberships are quite expensive, but the pendant itself is worth like $900, and so it's very exclusive. It's all silver. It's done by Thomas Daling, who is a world-renowned jeweler who I'm so fortunate to have hooked up with. He's recognized as the #1 jeweler in the world out of Russia, but he's American. He now has a pendant that's being it's up for an award, and it's unbelievable. So we're just really lucky to have him. He makes our silver bullets as well for the shop that come out in and out of your pendant. Anyway, so my vision is, like, if you've ever seen the movie John Wick, like, there's all these like places you can go. So I want to work with other businesses in the French Quarter to help them, the ones that are harder to get to, and see if we can't do stuff together. Like, I don't know if you know anything about the bathroom at a little bar on Toulouse Street. I don't want to give it away, but so there's little secret spots all over the French Quarter that a lot of people don't know about, and there's some real secret ones. And so I want to build this kind of network of secret places. Like, I'm working on that right now, so that when we reopen, you can, kind of go on this bar hop, or it's not all bar related, but mostly, and envision, like, go to all these places where you're like in a safe house, basically, for magic. And so that's kind of the vision I have for that. And like I said, I eventually want to open up another speakeasy. The voodoo one will probably be first. That will be, again, for my customers at Potions. But we're not going to stop that now. I mean, when we reopen, and if we give you the password, you know.
Well, Maria, my pledge to you is a week's notice, and I can be in New Orleans. Whatever you need from the mystery collection. The mystery collection has kind of grown. There's a couple other performers that can come in and kind of fill in, but whatever you need from me, this is my job, and I get to do it. So whatever you need from me, you call, and that within a week, I will be there for you, and I will do silly card tricks or silly magic tricks or whatever you need. I owe whatever success I have. I owe a lot to Potions, and to the boutique, and to you and Kim and Leah and Erica and the whole crew. So whatever you need from me, you count on it.
Well, we're going to count you in for sure.
So a couple of the other questions that I had is you talked about yoga a little bit in some of the messages we've traded back and forth.
Yes.
Are you practicing? Are you learning? Are you studying? I know you talked. I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, but let's focus a little bit on what you're doing personally through yoga.
I mean, I was a yoga instructor for many years, and I do yoga like some part of it every day. And that's the one good thing that's come out of this. I have more time to do that. But like I said, I'm trying to work it into this class, the Magic Carpet Magic, so that more people can experience how you can make it a part of your life. And if you have done yoga, you know what I'm talking about. It really changes your whole day. I mean, as soon as you do yoga, you just have this, you want to be a better person,
I got to tell you, I have a friend, and I swear to God, this really makes me upset that I've had to mention him in every show I've done. But my friend John Bentley lives in Waterford, Ireland, and he was a helicopter pilot for the United Nations in Mogadishu in Somalia. So he saw some ugly, ugly stuff. And I met him in Peru, and he has dedicated his life to the study of yoga and meditation. And he's gone to India several times and studied with some of the highest levels, and gone to the Eagle's Nest, which is, I guess, like a 3-week hike. And my wife and I stayed with him a couple years ago 2 years ago when we went to Ireland, and he is a yoga instructor, but not like at your local gym yoga instructor, like a legitimate, he takes this shit really, really serious. Mm-hmm. And he sat down and he spent about an hour with Danielle, my wife, and I, doing some yoga and some meditation. And it's on the Karen level, it's one thing, but on the real level of the John Bentley level, yoga is really a deal. I mean, it really is a healing kind of a self-centering kind of deal. My problem is, and I've talked about this on this before and with some other friends, is I can't slow the circus down. Really? I can't slow it down. It's always dun 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 dun, and I can't slow it down enough to where I can concentrate. And I've taken several yoga classes around town with one-on-one and big classes, and I talked to my friend John Bentley about it. And so what do you do with yoga to kind of center, to bring it down?
See, and it's funny you say that. That is my one problem with like not finding time to do it all the time. That's why this has been good for me. Is I used to say, well, you really need, well, you can do a half hour, you can do 5 minutes, but an hour is perfect. You just do the whole routine, your whole routine. You need an hour, and you really have to plan that time so that you don't think about anything else. That's your time to be there. And I do try to, sometimes my mind wanders, like, oh, I've got to do this afterwards, and I have to force myself to not think that way. And it takes a little time. Honestly, it does. It takes, you just have to keep doing it. It took me a while to be able to block things out, because my mind would go, because I have so many things going on.
Right. And that's, I mean, you're a lot like me. You've got 50 things. Okay, I've got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Oh, I also have to relax and take care of myself. And that's sometimes middle of the list.
But you have to make it a priority. And like I said, that's one good thing that's come out of the virus, is making it a priority again. I used to a long time ago. And then since, I lived here, I haven't. But now I have again. And I still did yoga all the time, but not like I do now. And you really have to force yourself to plan that hour for yourself and not deviate. Turn the phone off and just, you're there to work on your centering. And you just got to do it, Paul. Every time you think you're wandering, try to wander back.
Easier said than done. And my buddy John Bentley just chimed in and said, hey, dude, listening in between practices. John, thanks for checking in.
Hey, I have one question.
Yeah,
do you listen to music when you're doing yoga?
Yeah.
What kind of music?
Shit, Marita, I don't know. I mean, it's just...
That makes a difference. I'll tell you why. Don't listen to music that has words in it. Anything with sound, with words. What you want. Actually, it works perfectly if you have, Cox cable or whatever, and you can put soundscapes on. It is perfect because it's made for yoga, really, and it changes everything. It's like getting a massage. You don't want to listen to when you get a massage, you just want to have normal music, like just music, right? But these soundscapes, it's actually made for yoga, and it takes you places. The music does, and so it's hard to deviate because it forces you to focus on you. And when I can do that, it's hard for me because my husband's like, "What the fuck are you listening to?"
Well, I was just going to ask you. I mean, I know Steve well enough to know. Does Steve do yoga with you? That to me would be one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I love Steve. He's one of my favorite people in New Orleans. Does he do yoga with you?
No, but he has tried. He has tried a couple times, and I've taught him 2 stretching exercises that he does do every day.
And that's my wife. You've met my wife Danielle. She's super hot, and she runs like marathons, and she runs every day, and she works out, and I don't. And she does yoga, and she can center herself. And I've tried to do it with her, and I've tried to do it by myself. And I went to a local at the city gym. I went to a yoga class, and I went to the instructor before the class, and I said, listen, I've got this circus going on in my head all day, every day, all day. Can you help me? And she's like, oh yeah, 1 lesson, out. I can't slow it down. And I mean, I've gone to people with PhDs about this. I just can't slow it down.
I'm with you on that, but I think the music will help you. Try that. I think that will really help, because even at night, I do some of my best work when I'm laying in bed at night. And then now I have my phone where I take notes because I get frustrated if I forget something I thought of. But I dream a lot of things, and I write them down. I do a lot of work in my head at night, and so I know what you're talking about. But no, really, really try that soundscapes, and try to focus when you're doing yoga. Try to really focus on the part of your body you're working on and think about that. And then it's going to be hard for you to think about anything else.
And that's my buddy John Bentley did the body scan where you start at your toes and you move through. And I did it once, and I was like, oh my God, I have reached nirvana. And then the second time I'm like, oh my God, I got an insurance bill I should check out.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you a really funny story about yoga. Several years ago on Thanksgiving Day, my wife and I went and did Bikram yoga. Do you know about Bikram? It's like 90 degrees and 98% humidity.
Oh, did you use blocks?
You know what? I couldn't do a fucking thing. It was so hot and so humid, and I'm wearing like a Chicago Cubs jersey and sweatpants shorts. And I can't do it. I cannot do it. It was so hot, and it was so what I did, and this is what creeps me out about this style of yoga. I moved to the back of the room to let the other people kind of move forward. There was like 5 guys in the back of the room that were way older than me. And I mean, I'm old. And they were in the back just checking out the hot chicks. And I'm like, this is weird. So my wife and I couldn't do it. It was hot yoga. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it.
I've done it. Yeah.
So we got a couple other questions here. Somebody asked about Michael and Ann, Michael and April.
Michael and April are doing great. They were planning on coming back and working with us in October, and so I hope we'll see what happens. I don't know, but they're still part of us. They make our holy water and our vampire hunting kits and all kinds of stuff for us, and they're having a great time with their cabinet of curiosities. They're just a really cool couple, and they're doing very well.
They are awesome. And the day I met them was at the class I did for you at Potions, the Magic for Bartenders, and I could tell that Michael took it more serious than anybody else in the class. And they came to Loveland, Colorado, and did a fair in Loveland, one of the arts fairs. And we went. My wife and kids and I went over and saw them. They are some of the most awesome people. April and Michael are. If you get a chance, I think it's I don't know if they're listening. I don't know if they're on. If you are, please post your link to your cabinet of curiosities. They are 2 of the most amazing people in the world. So, and I met them through you. So, a couple other things I want to talk about. Let's see here. So we've got. So what's? I mean, you talked about the Carter book. What's
That
next?
is that's the biggest thing. So right now I took a little break. I haven't written in about 2 weeks, and it's really strange because I was writing every day. But it's because I'm spending about 8 hours a day on more than that, working on the website. And if I don't do something, I notice an immediate drop in sales. And so it's definitely a full-time job, and I'm learning a lot. I have a lot to learn, still to make it a really successful business. But it's doing very well compared to how it was doing. And I think we can get it up there, to where it can be a separate business, really. I mean, it won't be separate, but, a very productive division, I guess I should say.
And again, so the website is feelthebite.com.
And right now, our biggest product are the mystery packages.
They have these mystery boxes, which are amazing. And if you are part of the mystery collection mementos, you should keep an eye on your mailbox. We're going to do something very soon for you. The mystery boxes are, you don't know. And there's 3 levels? 2 levels?
No, more now, because we were asked for them. I think there's 5 levels, and then there's a goth girl one. And besides the 5 levels, there's a goth girl, and there's a supreme goth girl, and then there's also a wine club one where you get wine and the mystery box, and then there's also a club. So you can join up. We have a few people now that have joined up for the club, so you automatically get a mystery box every month. So yeah, okay. So we have some different ideas. And now, actually, I wish it was here. I was supposed to be here yesterday, so hopefully today. But now, whenever you order a mystery box at 60 or over, it comes with our little bat that our artist Susie Cates makes for us. He's adorable. His name's Thibodeau. And every month he'll be filled with a different scent. This month it's lavender. Or next month, it starts next month. But he's an adorable little crocheted bat. And you can't buy him. So the only way to get him is with the mystery box. It's really cool.
So the feelthebite.com. And go on there, and in the notes, mention that you saw Marita and I on this silly little deal that I'm doing just to remain relevant on Sunday afternoons. And it's a very fun idea. The idea that people are receiving surprises. Marita and I talked about this earlier. Last week, I smoked 25 pounds of chicken wings and just went to random friends and dropped them off on their porches. And I think during this weird time, that we don't know what is coming tomorrow, and we don't know what's coming in a month. The idea that you get something fun in the mail, I don't know. I think what you're doing is pretty awesome.
So the other thing we have, and I really feel like we haven't tapped the capability of this project, is our vampire adventures in the mail, right. And they're so much fun, and I don't think I'm explaining them well. So because people aren't getting them, we've sold just a handful. And they're so much fun. And it seems like it might be expensive. I think our cheapest one's $95, and then they're like $120. But it's for a month. And you hook up with an email, it kicks it off. And then you get 3 separate mailings. But they're really substantial mailings. And you learn stuff. One's about voodoo. One's about our vampire secrets, like vampire lessons. And the things you get are really amazing. But we can't give away what you get. So that's the trouble I'm having with, we really can't show that much. It's definitely a mystery. But how do you sell it? So I'm having an issue with that because they're amazing. All 4, we have 4 now, and they are really exciting mysteries that you get in the mail.
And I know April was working on some of the mysteries for you earlier, and you and I have talked about doing a murder mystery kind of party. You had one that didn't go so well earlier in the past.
Yeah. That was with a company. We had a murder mystery party for the bar on New Year's Eve one time. And it was a magic theme because the whole theme of that night was magic. And it was so poorly done. The characters were bad. I mean, I could have written a way better murder mystery. I was really disappointed.
Well,
it was awful.
It's funny that you bring that up because a year ago today on my Facebook memories, when I wake up, I hit memories. A year ago today, my wife and I were in Milwaukee, and we attended a murder mystery writing conference where they locked us in this house, this haunted bed and breakfast, and we worked on a murder mystery. And I think you and I have talked about this off live before. And this machine right here is the center of one of the murder mysteries I've written. And it's the God Machine. It's if you search the God Machine, Spears, Spears, the God Machine. It's so the idea of coming to New Orleans with the God Machine. James and I have talked about it a couple times. Greg and Vince and I have talked about it a couple times. This will come to New Orleans one of these days and do one of these. So whatever you need.
Yeah.
The murder mystery deal in the idea in the kind of the model of potions is kind of a cool thing. How many I mean, you've got a membership group, and I've been there a dozen times, and you have a good group of people that show up every night. What is the future of potions? I know you talked about the voodoo one and the witch one and some of the other ones. The location on Bourbon Street. What is the future of potions?
Yeah, I think, I mean, eventually I would like that to be membership only and very exclusive and just, really, I mean, I can see that part of it. I hate to take it away from my customers, but I won't do it until I have another one where I can send them. But I just see it being very exclusive, very, really cool kind of things like that, like murder mystery type things. And a place where you take friends that, you want to, I don't know, have an experience with. So there'll be different little things that you can do. I'm still working on it. So I'll have to talk about that next time because I don't really know yet.
No, and that's yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
But it's going to be there. That's for sure. So Boutique Event here is not going anywhere. Our location's not going anywhere. No matter what. I mean, the website's doing well enough to where we can keep our location and, it's going to be a while for tourism to come back, but people love New Orleans so much. That's what we have going for us. I have so many people that can't wait to get back. And so even if this is
one of them right here.
Right.
I should have been there. I should have been there 3 weeks ago.
Cheap. I mean, don't you think flights are going to be cheap for a while, And so there'll be a lot of incentives to help you come. Hotels for sure are going to be wanting you to come. So, who knows? But tourism might come back faster than I anticipate. I'm doing on the real low end. I don't, see it as us bouncing back our shot without the website for a year, really, But that's why we're powering on the website.
One of the things I talked about with my kids this morning is that with this whole pandemic that's coming through and this whole like weird thing, you're starting to see some heroes and some big names pop out. I think the mayor of New Orleans has really done a pretty good job. She's really kind of stayed the line about what's good for you as a business owner, what's good for you as a resident. We're lucky. The governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, has done a really good job, I think, of staying the course and doing what's right for the citizens. What do you think? What is the next 12, 18 months look like for New Orleans and the French Quarter?
Well, I think, first of all, I want to say, it was really terrifying in the beginning because our mayor really didn't know what to do because they were getting from the federal government that it's not as bad as we think it is. And so I wrote her a couple of times and I was like, look, I'm closing. We closed our business earlier than anybody else.
You did. I remember I got the email from you and from Zalia at the French, at the Always the same day that, listen, we're holding back. We're going to do the conservative kind of view on this and we're canceling our shows.
Mm-hmm. And I called my friends, a lot of them that own bars, and tried to get them to do the same thing because if we didn't do it together, it was never going to work. And the only thing we were going to experience is not getting sick, which is great, but also more economic damage than anybody else because we would have been closed longer than we were closed a week longer than when they finally closed the bars, and then they still had businesses open, and that was really frustrating. Like when the mayor put out that they were closing bars at midnight, I wrote her and I said, listen. The virus doesn't come out at midnight. This is ridiculous. And we're all going to get sick and we're all economically going to really suffer. And I don't even know if she ever read those emails, but it made me feel better.
Right. Anyway, you hope she did. You hope she did.
Yeah. But anyway, now I wrote her again, actually congratulating her because I think the longer we stay closed until we really know that it's time to unfold our stages, the better, so that this doesn't happen again. If we go into a second phase of this, it's going to be really devastating to the economy. So we can't open up and then close again. It's better to stay closed longer and really take it seriously. And it's funny because you go through these phases like where you feel like it's an exercise. I'll be home and you forget how serious it is until I'll go through a 2 days without watching the news because it really affects my psyche.
Right.
And so, but it's good to watch the news because it puts it back into perspective how serious this is. And what I've done all along is used Italy and China as our model because we're so lucky that, we weren't in the forefront, that there's these countries that are ahead of us and seeing where they're at. And that helped a lot a few weeks ago, about a month ago, a woman wrote in a long article about Italy that the stores are open, don't worry about hoarding stuff, everything is stocked. And we were not at that point. We were at the point where everybody was hoarding everything, all the empty aisles and everything. So I tried to let as many people as I knew know, look at what's going on in Italy. That part is set. They still can't go out and no businesses are open. But, at least when you do go out, you can get things. And that is very calming in a way. And now, they're still, it's not good. And they have a ways to go still. So that means we have a lot longer way to go. And I really hope that we stick to it. And like I said, I'd rather wait and make sure nobody else gets sick and we nip this in the bud. And what we have working for us is summer's coming. The virus doesn't do well in heat. Yep. The problem is we don't know enough about it,
Right.
And it would be nice, we have friends that got tested and I was supposed to go get tested 2 days ago and then they canceled it because we had a storm coming. So I'm going to try tomorrow to get tested again. And my friends were negative. And so if we know that we're negative, then we can have them over and our dogs can play. And, because we've been really careful. My husband goes to the store once every 2 weeks and he wears a mask and I haven't been anywhere. I've been to my store just to drop off things because everything's coming to my house. When I get it, I swipe it all, let it sit for a day. I sanitize it. I let it sit for a day anyway, and then I bring it to the shop so that there's no chance of my employee getting sick. We've been really, really, even when I touch our doorknob, I sanitize, and I wash my hands immediately. So, you got to keep doing that. And I think if we're diligent, then our outlook is really bright. I'm terrified of people one of our neighbors had a party. I heard them planning it, and I thought, this can't be happening.
Yeah,
this is about 2 weeks ago. And so I waited. I thought, maybe I'm wrong and they're planning a party for their family inside the house. That's very possible. They have a barbecue out back, for people that live there. Well, the cars started arriving and I called the security service and they made it stop.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to,
I have a 22-year-old stepdaughter. I think you've met her. She came with us one time, Leah. And she, as soon as this thing went down, she decided to come here. She decided to move out of her rental and move with us because it was safer. Yeah. And just decided to lock down. And Angela, our friend Angela Monroe from New Orleans Secrets, just posted on the 100% agree. Opening too early and getting a second wave could kill our tourism for another full year or more. And so I think that if we just all would kind of calm our shit down for about another 30 days, and you see these people in Georgia and Texas and it's a friend of mine, Paul Vigil from Las Vegas, posted having some states not agree with the whole deal is like having a peeing section in a swimming pool. You've seen exactly that, right? And there is nothing more, Marita, than I want in my life than to get back to New Orleans. Really. That my magic, my Black Magic 2020 tour was so much more than just doing a couple shows. But I would be willing to put that off for a few more months.
Right. So we can be sure we can really open. Yeah.
So we can be sure. So
the other thing I really hope comes from this is all that's happening. There's so much good that can come from this. One is our countries working together, and I hope that we learn something from this. Sharing ideas better, and also what's happening to the planet. It's amazing what's happening to the planet. And you and I talked about this a little bit. Hopefully, some of the traveling for work stops, and you do, meetings through at home. So we save gas, and you put money in your employees' pockets that way. They have more time, are more productive, and the earth is better off.
Right.
With all this, like, there's so much that can come of this that's positive. We just have to look at all the positive.
And hopefully we come out of this better people and a better group of people. And I can't wait to give my buddy Aaron Havens a hug and be like, hey buddy, good to see you, And there's several people out there that I haven't seen in weeks. I used to go to the gym every morning, and every morning of the week I'd go to the gym, and these two trainers would literally beat the shit out of me because I'm a fat old guy, right? And they would beat me up and try to make me not a fat old guy. And what got me through that was my buddies like Aaron and this guy Jared. And I can't wait to go back and see those people. I haven't been able to give those people high fives or hugs in a long time. And it's silly that here I am, a 44-year-old man, looking down the second chapter of his life, the last chapter of his life. And what I want is personal interaction. I've traded several emails with some performer friends of mine, and I really am a 13-year-old boy that all I need in my life is response from an audience. I need people to laugh at my dick and fart jokes. And I need people to laugh at my silly things. And my wife and kids don't give one shit about what I'm doing. Right? So it's this, I hope we come out of this deal understanding, like what you were talking about. We come out of this deal understanding that we are part of a big picture. I mean, they saw jellyfish in the canals at Venice.
And the turtles are coming out.
Right. I was in Venice 6 years ago. I took my family on a cruise. We were on a 14-day cruise through the Mediterranean, and Venice smelled like a circus outhouse. Yeah. And now that it's clear water and you can see jellyfish, that is pretty awesome.
It would just be devastating if it went immediately back to, how it was. So, like I said, hopefully we learn from this, and I sure miss, having meetings. Actually, I like this Zoom thing, and I haven't had a staff meeting, and I miss my staff so much that it would be cool to do this, for you can do more than one person on Zoom.
Oh, yeah. If you buy the membership, and this is what I've learned, if you don't buy the membership free, you could have 10 people for 40 minutes. If you buy the membership, you can have unlimited people for unlimited time.
Wow.
And it's $100 a year.
That might be something too for our tarot readers. I have a lot of friends of mine are tarot readers, and some of them have just started their own businesses. I don't know if you know Kia.
She was a guest on James' show last week, and okay. I think they did pretty well. And Kia. I think the Kia is really good at social media, and she has really kind of figured out how to do social media. What is her Celeste Tarot? Is that her handle?
Yeah, readings by Celeste. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it's readings by Celeste, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, it might be good for readers, though, because you can see the person. So this is really cool. Like I said, a lot of cool things have happened from this virus. Sort of.
All right, so I'm looking at my list of questions that I have, and I think we've hit everything. I just want to make sure that I get. Let's see, we got a couple questions. So Michael of Michael and April commented, April is totally down to do murder mystery puzzles and writing editing, and I love that. They are really my favorite thing about April is the first day I met her. She was in the audience at one of the shows at Potions, and I said, I'm from a shitty little town in northern Colorado called Greeley, Colorado. And she raised her hand and she goes, I'm from Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I said, okay, so I am from the second shittiest town in the country. April wins. But they came and hung out, and we had breakfast one day, and they came in before they had a deal in Loveland. On that note,
I know what I wanted to talk about.
Please.
Something I've never told you about. You were talking about your friend who did the show last week, and how he connects with spirits and American Indian burial grounds.
Right. That has been one of the questions that's come up every week, and that's one of the questions I still have. What is too much for you?
Okay, well, this was too much for me.
Please fire away.
The scariest thing that's ever happened to me was I had a guy who will remain nameless right now, who we were doing some business with him for one product of ours. And he's very much into the occult. And he had I think he still has a shop of his own in a different state. And he wanted to do more business together. Anyway, he calls me one day and says, "Hey, I'm in town, can I come by?" And I said, "Sure." So he comes in and he sees our shrunken heads. And we have shrunken heads from Ecuador. They're made of goat skin and goat fur, real shrunken heads are against the law. Anyway, and he goes, "Oh, wow, I just sold the shrunken head to the Museum of Death, on Burgundy."
Yeah, no, I've been there. Yep.
He says, "Actually, I sold 3 of them for $1,000. And I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, they're authentic,
No, they're not authentic for $1,000.
Right. Well, he said they were authentic, and he said, and I said, "Well, that's a crazy price because I know somebody, the guy who made the movie Alien, he sold one that he had papers for and everything for $18,000, one to this person." So he goes, "Well, you think I should get my money back?" And I said, "Well, I would, that's a bad deal." He goes, "Well, they haven't paid me yet." So I go, "Well, if I were you, I'd get my money back." So he does, and he comes back with his box, and he says, "Listen, I have nowhere to keep these. I don't leave my car overnight. Can I keep them here in the shop?" And he says, "They're actually really not shrunken heads. They're skulls. They're skulls from an American Indian burial ground." And I'm like, "Ooh, that doesn't sound like a good idea."
That's too much.
It turns out that he had his brother was building a house, or his friend was, and they were digging up stuff, and they found all these bones and these skulls, and they put it back together. One of them was broken, they put it back together. Anyway, I said, that doesn't sound very good. He goes, "Well, what do you think I should do with them?" I go, "Well, I think the only thing to do," and I should have thought that they should have called the police then, but that didn't occur to me. I said, maybe a museum, would buy them, but I really don't know. He goes, "Well, will you help me?" And I said, "No, I won't." I said, "I don't even really want him here in the shop tonight. The only reason I agreed to have him in the shop is because I thought it was weird having him in the car overnight, but I said, "Well, I'll put it on Facebook, like what you should do with them." So I did. I posted, this guy has these skulls from an American Indian burial ground. Is it museum would be the right choice, or where would you go with them, right? So the next day, my husband's driving me to work, and I look on Facebook, and it's about what a horrible person I am, over and over and over. I'm like, "What? I don't want them. I don't want to sell them. I just want to know what to do with them. Yes, you shouldn't have them. I guess put them back. I don't know." Anyway, so I go in my shop, and I go get the trash, and I come out, and 2 men come in suits, and they said, "We're going to lock the door." And I said, "Okay," and I knew exactly what was going on. So they were FBI, and so now, I'm shaking. And I told them, I go, "Look, I know why you're here." And there they are. And it was really funny because the box said, it was just a box closed. I never even opened it. It said skulls. I never even saw them, right? And I go, "Well, that's the box right there." I go, "I know what you're here for." And he said, "Do you have any weapons in here?" And I said, "No." And he asked me 3 times. And then I look around, and I've got a crossbow and knives.
I've been in here. I know what you have.
I'm wearing a silver bullet around my neck, right? Anyway, so this is such a great story. So I tell him what happened. He goes, "Well, call the guy and tell him you have a buyer." And I said, "Okay." And I pick up the phone, and I go, "No, I'm not doing that." I go, "I'm going to tell him the truth. If I tell him you're here, he's going to come. He's not trying to set me up or anything, So I go, "I'm not going to lie." So I call the guy, and I tell him what happened, and I put him on the phone with the agents. And it turns out he got in a fight with the girl that he was with, and we drove her back home. And he said, "I'll come right back." And they said, "No, don't worry about coming back right now." So they go, "Well, listen, we can't leave until forensics comes and decides that these are actually real bones, human. They could be fake." So I said, "All right." So sure enough, they called them. And meanwhile, the one detective was in his 30s. The other guy was in his 70s. He'd been on the force for 50 years. And he falls in love with my Saint Germain machine, the fortune telling machine. Mm-hmm. I'm like, "Well, I can turn him off, and I can talk through him, and we can say whatever we want." He says, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "I got to freak out the forensics team, right?" So we have this tiny little bathroom, and he thought they were coming in 10 minutes. Well, it took him like over a half hour to get there. And he's hiding in my bathroom the whole time with this microphone, right? So the forensics people come, it's a guy and a girl, and they were not nice to me at all. And the one guy, the young guy, he winked at me, he goes, don't worry about that. So I signed the paperwork, and there's the box of skulls. So the girl starts to take them out of the box, and all of a sudden, the detective goes, where are the skulls? And the machine says, skulls, those are my skulls, step away from my skulls. Well, the guy recognized the guy's voice, and he goes, Frank, are you in there? So anyway, now the young detective asked the guys if I can open my door because I'm missing all this business. And they said, yeah, sure, but we got to take them out. So they're on the floor with these skulls, and the woman is examining them. And this group of 10, which is a lot of people from my shop, a big group of Irish tourists come in. And they're looking at the forensics and the detectives and the skulls on the ground, right? And they're walking around like the product, and they're listening to everything that they say. And the woman says, yes, they seem to be, over 200 years old. Yes, they seem to be human. And yes, they do seem to be American Indian by the shape of the skull. And the tourist eyes are getting bigger and bigger, And so the detective sees that, the young guy. He says, well, we understand all that, but where did the vampires bite them? It was so awesome. And so the tourists were like, anyway, they were wonderful, and they took the skulls, and, nothing happened to me. But yeah, don't ever, if you find human skulls of any kind, of any age, no matter where you find them, call the police, because it could be somebody's daughter, that it's a missing. That never even dawned on me. I watch all these forensic shows. You think I would have thought, first of all, hey, that could be somebody, So,
well, and Louisiana is one of the, I think, like 4 states that does not allow the shipment of human remains.
Oh, really?
It's weird that I know that, but yes, it is. There's a couple websites that sell human remains. A couple weeks ago, I don't know if it was with James or it was with Calvin, that I talked about the time that I was in at the witches market in La Paz, Bolivia, and my sole purpose for being at the authentic witches market that goes back hundreds of years was to find a shrunken head. And my friend John Bentley, who I mentioned, who owes me a beer because I've mentioned him in every fucking episode of this show. He's the only one that spoke Spanish. So he was trying to get me a shrunken head. And we went down these back hallways, and it was me and my friend from Ancient Aliens and John and a couple other people. And somebody pulled out their phone at the wrong moment. And the woman who was going to sell us authentic shrunken heads from Bolivia said, I'm out. And she, as soon as the phone came out, she was terrified. There are a couple websites that I follow on social media that sell authentic human remains, and they won't ship to Louisiana because there's state laws about that.
Well, that's interesting.
And I don't know how I feel, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I as you see right here, I have a elongated skull from Peru. Back right there, I have one of the shrunken heads from Ecuador, which is not authentic, but it's made out of I think pig skin or a monkey skull.
Could be,
what do you feel about the I don't know, the morality of I mean, you sell replica shrunken skulls in your store. What do you feel about?
They used to actually be made of monkey skin, and that's not good either, because people were killing monkeys just to make shrunken heads that were replicas of humans. So you got to be really careful with people, because people buy stuff and they don't think about the consequences. Like for coats, like you really got to think about that. So that's why the goats that they kill for the shrunken heads that we buy are used for everything.
Right.
So
no, the shrunken heads are like the seventh purpose of the.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I did know a man who had an authentic shrunken head, and I've seen it. He had it displayed in his aquarium. He had an aquarium in Calamasa, California, where I grew up. And he was from Ecuador or some weird place. And they were pygmies. The reason they had shrunken heads is when a pygmy from one tribe would kill one from another tribe, they were shunned from their tribe until they came back with a shrunken head, because they thought that the spirit would otherwise haunt the tribe. So it was a trophy, right? Well, this man that I knew from the aquarium, he saved a pygmy's life. It's a long story how, but he saved his life. And as a thank you to him, he went and had himself murdered and had his head shrunken. And as a present to him, it's for so much gratitude of what he did for him, he gave him his own head.
Wow.
It's just talk about, poetic justice or whatever. But so that's how they were really, meant to be used. I don't think we should really own them.
My friend Calvin, who was my guest last week, has a complete skeleton in his basement of a prostitute from England in the early 1900s, 1910, and she donated her body to science, and Calvin, through 3 or 4 exchanges, has the full skeleton. I have a lot of weird shit in my house, as you can see behind me. I mean, this guy, my cleaning folks did not like that I did not tell them about this guy in my basement, right? But I don't know if the I grew up Catholic, and I went through all the Catholic school stuff. I don't know if I can legitimately be okay with having human remains in my house. I don't know. I don't know. And we'll get to that point someday when it's late at night and I'm on eBay clicking shit and buying comic books and skulls.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, I don't want one, but I wouldn't.
I don't know either. So Marita, we have a few minutes left, and I have a few things I want to say after we get to this. A few plugs. I want to plug your feelthebite.com. What is your personal author website? Is it maritacrandle.com?
My whole name, Marita Voivode Crandle.
And it's WOYWOD.com or
Yes.
Crandle.com.
Yes.
You have you're currently working on a Carter Brothers book. Do you want to give a 30-second history of the Carter Brothers that you haven't covered yet?
Yes. So basically, it starts when the building collapses on Royal Street, right next to the Carter Brothers' home. The archaeological dig, which I was able to participate with the dig and get research, and the archaeologist was awesome in helping with the book. The archaeologist in my story uncovers the bones of the Carter brothers, takes them to his private lab, which I found out is absolutely doable. I thought it would be the secret thing where he wouldn't be allowed to take the bones to his house, but most archaeologists apparently have a lab of their own. And so he takes them home, and he takes them home because there's a fizzle from blood on the bone. And anyway, he ends up reanimating the Carter brothers, and then there's a whole prostitution thing going on, and you find out in the past, you go back into the past, the whole part 2 is about Wayne Carter's love affair with Josie Arlington, and how they were murdered, and it's the whole Carter brothers legend, actually, but it's all fictionalized. And then you go back into the present in part 3, and like I said, I'm not sure which direction that's going to go yet, so that's a mystery to me. Maybe once I release the book the way the agent wants it, I'll re-release it the original way. That might be kind of fun too.
Didn't Stephen King do that? The Uncut Stand? Didn't he, like 10 years later, he released the Uncut Stand? So,
I didn't know that.
So, all right. Well, Marita, we have a few minutes left, and it's 3:00 Mountain Time, which is 4:00 your time. So we're hitting the end. I would be terribly remiss if I did not again thank you for everything you've done for me, for my family, and for the Mystery Collection. And I told you I wasn't going to get emotional on this, but the Mystery Collection would not be anything like it is today without the support of you and Kim and Leah and Erica and Tasha and Kia and the staff that you have supported. You really have made my life what it is.
Oh, well,
So
thank you. We're happy to help, and I mean, we love having you. So you will definitely be back.
I'm not. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. And so you've got feelthebite.com. You've got maritawaywoodcrandle.com.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want to? What else do you want to talk about? Potionslounge.com.
And and if anybody has suggestions about how we can better sell our adventures in the mail, like I said, I think it's an amazing product and experience for people. I just am doing a bad job of being able to explain it right. And so I see it as a whole new division and really going places. And maybe I'm wrong, but I would love some insight if anybody has some ideas.
Well, and the mystery collection at Potions is always a pretty fun time.
Yes. Always.
The last time, I will tell you, um, Mike, who is one of my favorite people in the world, if I can understand what the fuck he's saying.
He misses the bar so much.
Oh my God. I love Mike. He is Leah's husband, and he's from, is it Northern England? Is it north of London? I don't know. The last time I went to Potions, I took a bottle of Tower 56 peanut butter bourbon. Did you try that the last time?
Yes, I did.
And I think Mike and I drank that bottle the entire time. My show, he kept bringing it out. So in closing, Marita, I'm going to give you a few minutes, a minute or so, to plug anything you want, and then I'm going to tell my thanks, and we'll wrap it up. But you have a few minutes to tell everybody what you want them to know before we close it up.
Well, I think I've plugged everything, but I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and also really for coming out all the time and being so gung ho about magic. It's so hard to find, and I know you guys were telling me that as magicians, it's hard to find places to perform. It's also hard to find magicians. When I was looking, I couldn't find any at first. And so it wasn't until I got connected, to one. It just took one, because magicians love magic. And then my network kind of grew from there. And it's amazing how tight-knit your community is, and how wonderful, and really how much you want to share. I'm a magician also, and I love magic so much. And you really never want to share a magic trick with someone who's not a magician, because it is a stupid thing to do. It ruins everything. The magic is what makes magic great. But if you are a magician, it's amazing how welcoming other magicians are willing to share their craft. I mean, we can't say enough about that. We've learned so much magic, Steve and I, from magicians that just pop in, and they can't wait to show us a magic trick. And I was really surprised by that. I understand it now, but I loved it. And so thank you so much for that.
Well, if you to everybody who's new to the mystery collection, if you Google my name, you will the first thing that will pop up is an article, an interview I did for what's it called? Bandwagon magazine, and it's called Most Magic Sucks. And I run my mouth on how terrible magicians are. Magicians are shitty people. They're terrible people. I hate magicians. The people that you can count that I love magicians, you can count on my hand. Magicians are terrible people. And I take it, and this is what's silly, is people that see me perform think I tell jokes and I have fun doing it. I take this very, very, as you know, I take this very seriously, very seriously. And the opportunity to perform for you and for your membership is invaluable. I would not have the reputation I have and the audience I have had it not been for my potion shows. So that's where I wanted to close with, is giving a shout out to you, Marita, and Kim and Leah and Erica and Tasha and April and Steve and Kia and the people that have made my. I'm sorry, who am I missing?
And Tori.
Tori was the butt of one of my worst jokes ever. Her very first day, she said my boyfriend wanted to come, but he couldn't. And I said, okay, so I have a chance because your boyfriend's not here. And that was terrible because it was her first day ever. And she was victim to some creepy old guy's weird joke. Marita, I owe the majority of my successes to you. And if you're ever in New Orleans, as I said, my 3 recommendations, I'm going to add 4. My 3 recommendations are Mr. Gregory's shrimp boil. I don't know if you've ever done it. It's amazing.
I have with the PBR.
It's Gregory is I love him. The second is New Orleans tours, New Orleans Secrets tours. I've done their voodoo and their cemetery tour dozens of times. And the third is go to the Boutique des Vampires and go to Potions. They are my family. I love them actually more than I love my family. And the fourth one would be have the barbecue shrimp at Coop's on Decatur, because I had it 5 of 7 days. I was there last year. So Marita, I can't thank you enough for all of the support you've given me over the last couple of years, and for joining me on this silly adventure.
It's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Boutique, feelthebite.com, MaritaWaywoodCrandle.com, and
yes. Potions Lounge.
Potionslounge.com. Marita, if you'll stay on, I'm going to kill the live version, and we'll talk for a few minutes afterwards. Thank you guys so much. Next week is Aiden Sinclair. And I'll tell you what, you think I've talked a lot of shit on this episode. Next week, Aiden is one of my longest friends in magic, and we watched his America's Got Talent episode in my basement, so it is going to be very candid. The next week, we're going to take off for Mother's Day, because my wife is a florist, and Mother's Day is bullshit around the Knopfsinger house. And the next week is Rolando Santos, which you will see some things coming up. He has a first connection with Pancho Villa. So thank you, Marita. Thank you, everybody. We will see.
Bye.
Thanks. All right, so I thought it was all right.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
I
visit.
I probably drank a little bit too much and got a little bit.
You were awesome.
Well, and I know I say this online, and I say this often, but I really do owe everything that I have in my silly show to you guys. So I won't get too emotional about it, but because I can't wait to get back, and really, and I don't say this lightly. Anything you guys need from me, count on it. I am lucky enough that I have another source of income that pays for my life. So anything I get to do is for magic is bonus. So anything you need, you count on me, and I'm there.
Okay, well, I'm going to take you up on that. We will definitely have magic in our future. I promise. So I can't wait.
Well, thank you so much, and give Steve a big hug, and tell everybody hugs and high fives.
Same to your family.
Great. Thanks, Marita. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, send me the links, and I'll put them on my Facebook page.
Okay, I'll do it right now.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right.